Hi and welcome to the PowerEC YouTube channel. I'm Nadim and in this video I'm going to talk about Microsoft Power BI versus Microsoft Fabric. Is it really Microsoft Power BI versus Microsoft Fabric, or is Microsoft Power BI simply a part of Microsoft Fabric now? That is the first question we're going to look at. Then we're going to look at transitioning from Microsoft Power BI to Microsoft Fabric, what the key milestones are and how we can make a transition successful. Then we're going to talk about the analyst role of the future, the analytics engineer, a mid-role between engineering and analytics, and why it is important that analysts make this transition alongside with Fabric being implemented. Finally, we're going to talk about and look at the things that are necessary to learn and how to prepare for the Microsoft Fabric solution to come and the architecture that comes along with it. Thank you very much for watching and please subscribe. Okay, so you may have heard already it was announced in the summer of 2024 that Power BI Premium will retire. This means that the move to Fabric capacities is inevitable for premium capacity users in terms of Power BI. But that also means that you still have the option of using per user licensing if you want to stick to only Power BI products such as Power BI Pro or Premium per user. New customers will not be able to purchase new capacity licensing for Power BI Premium since the summer of 24, and existing customers without an enterprise agreement will not be able to renew their premium capacity until January 1st, 2025. That means for us, if we're using a premium capacity, that a move to a Fabric capacity is inevitable. If you have, for example, a P1, the equivalent of a P1 capacity in Power BI Premium is the F64 in Microsoft Fabric. However, Fabric still gives you the option of moving into a smaller capacity inside Fabric, such as F2, which has 2 CUs, and these two cores, and these F2, F4, F8, F16 and 32, which are smaller than the previous P1 equivalent, which is the F64, allow you to scale down your capacity and start small with Fabric, saving a lot of costs. Power BI retirement for premium capacity does not mean that we're going to lose our data or that we have to migrate in a complex manner. We simply can assign our workspaces into the new Fabric capacity. We can also bulk assign workspaces. However, it is important that when you deploy a Fabric capacity that you do it in the same region as your Power BI Premium capacity, not to have any deployment issues when you're migrating. You will also have 90 days to do the migration, which is fine. That means we don't have to worry about moving to the Fabric capacity if we have a Premium capacity after it has been deactivated for 90 days. As I mentioned before, Power BI Pro and Premium per user are not impacted by this retirement. That means you're still able to decide for Power BI Pro or Premium per user licensing. However, you have to kind of make a calculation to see if you have a lot of user, it makes sense to use Premium per user, which is more expensive, or the Power BI Pro, which is increasing in price slightly. But if you're using a Premium capacity and Power BI, and let's say you have at least 500 users, it would make more sense transitioning to the Fabric capacity. And that of course brings some challenges with it because we have to learn some new stuff. We're going to talk about that in a second. We are only talking about capacities in this presentation because there's no per user licensing inside Fabric. Yeah. If you were hoping that you could only do per user licensing inside Fabric, we're sorry. This is not possible, but you can start with an F2, which is a very cost-efficient capacity, a small 2-core capacity inside Fabric, which is basically a good starting point for very few users on Microsoft Fabric. The key milestones when moving to Microsoft Fabric. So, of course, it is important to get the necessary skills, which we will talk about in a second, which are, for example, the certifications that come along with Fabric that are possible on the Microsoft Learning website. Then we have to think bigger. It is a bit scary moving from reporting to a complete end-to-end analytics platform. It's kind of like standing in front of Azure and thinking I now have to understand everything about Azure. But if you think of Fabric as basically cherry picking the best solutions that Azure has to offer, that Spark has to offer, that Databricks had to offer, and it's consolidating them into a single platform that is it takes a little bit of work, it is a bit time consuming, but within a short period of time we'll get a complete understanding if you do the correct learning paths of the Microsoft Fabric platform, and you will learn to think bigger. You will learn to move from reporting into more data modeling, into understanding how to move things further upstream in our analytics world, in our engineering world. Then we might have to develop some architectural understanding of the platform. We don't have to become data architects or data platform architects, but it is important to understand the Fabric architecture, what a medallion architecture is, how the Lakehouse architecture works in combination with a warehouse or SQL database architecture, and how this improves our data estate as a whole. Then we have to learn the best practices. It is best to learn them from others that already have experience from Fabric, rather than doing trial and error yourself and learning the hard way what the best practices are. You might want to consider getting a Fabric Center of Excellence. There was a Power BI Center of Excellence solution offered from Microsoft, but now there's also a Fabric Center of Excellence. I will do a separate session on a Fabric Center of Excellence, but it is important that you understand that building a Center of Excellence centralizes your skills and your long-term success of moving to Microsoft Fabric, as you have a centralized or decentralized team that has the key or core skills that are needed for Fabric and to make sure that the transition to Fabric is sustainable. We have user acceptance. It is important that inside your organizations the user accept the change. Of course, as you have seen, it is inevitable to some extent to move to a Fabric capacity, but also the users have to learn and accept that there's a new solution and it brings a lot more power with it. So there has to be very little resistance. You have to kind of make sure that the transition is smooth and the users accept that moving to Fabric is beneficial in every single way possible. You might want to build an MVP, a minimal viable product, which shows off the development time inside Fabric, how much faster it is compared to the other development times that we had previous for platform solutions. You want to learn that CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment development, is a standard and best practice that's a given in Microsoft Fabric and very important. You will also see that monitoring the capacity in Fabric is extremely important, as we can strain resources really quickly and reach our capacity limits very easily. That means that we have to limit users, start small, grow slowly while considering CU usage. So now we have the analyst and we have the analytics engineer. And if you look at analytics engineers today, you might think, well, it's just a role between an engineer and an analyst. But it is a bit more. The analytics engineer has to cover a lot of the skills that are needed from architects, from engineering, maybe even some data science skills to some extent, to be able to cover all the needs and skills necessary to master the Microsoft Fabric platform. So the analyst has a huge opportunity to grow their skill set and their knowledge, but also the understanding of how the data platform works. So let's compare the two in terms of skills. Let's say we are talking about our design skills for the analyst. We had data modeling in the past, we had reporting and visual design, maybe we had query design, anything like that. But the analytics engineer now has to understand how the platform architecture works, how pipeline orchestration works in terms of automating ingestion and deployment and so on, but also how data modeling, reporting and visual designs works in terms of designing skills. And regarding programming languages, we had DAX, we had SQL, we had mQuery, which is the query language of Power BI. And now, of course, we have the tabular model definition language, which allows us to do source control in a very user-friendly way, using a very nice language that's brand new. The analytics engineer, on the other hand, of course, besides R and Scala, might get to the new standard of using PySpark inside notebooks to learn big data processing and to learn how to do a little bit of programming inside the Python world using PySpark. There's the Custo query language for real-time analytics, which is a real-time intelligence solution, which is important. One should also know that. There's TSQL for the SQL endpoints. There's DAX, M, and Timdal, the same as the data analyst had before. In terms of certifications, we had the Data Analyst Associate certification within Power BI, which is the PL300. We now have the Analytics Engineer and the Engineering certifications, which is the DP600 and the DP700 in the Analytics Engineering world, or the engineering world for Microsoft Fabric. I do recommend also looking at the DP700, the engineering, to widen a little bit on your programming skills inside Fabric, because I believe this is a move that will be necessary in the future if you want to master the Fabric platform as a whole. Regarding artifacts inside Microsoft Power BI and Microsoft Fabric. In Power BI we had data flows, data marts, which were not too successful from point of view of user acceptance, but they're there. We have the semantic model, we have Power BI Service, Power BI Desktop, and mobile app. In Fabric, I've listed a few. There are a lot more, and there are a lot more coming. But don't be overwhelmed. You can master them one by one. There's the Lakehouse, which is really a great warehousing option today, built on top of a data lake. But we have the SQL endpoints for the Lakehouse and the warehouse. We have notebooks. We have environments for the notebooks, which are Spark environments. We have pipelines, which is basically the same as Azure Data Factory, but on steroids. We have the SQL database. We have the Synapse warehouse, or the warehouse. We have the real-time intelligence, data flows Gen 2, which is a new generation data flows. We have the data mart, which I think is still in preview. Then we have the semantic model on Power BI, of course, but we have a new query option in Microsoft Fabric, which is the direct lake option. We're not going to get into that, but it is super cool and very powerful. Then we have the Power BI Service, desktop, mobile app, and much more. In terms of AI, the reason Microsoft Fabric is so popular and will become very successful either now or in the future, as it is already, is because it prepares us for the AI world. In the AI era, it is important to have the data quality, to have the processing means to be able to process big data, complex data, structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data, and to infuse it with AI models, machine learning models, or even LLMs. And in terms of AI readiness, Power BI only offered us some AI built-in features in terms of visuals and so on, such as Q&A visual, stuff like this. But Fabric allows us to build a great foundation for the entire artificial intelligence world, giving the data scientist also the full capability to implement machine learning models, to do forecasting, to move from prescriptive to predictive analytics. So it is really a move that's worth it very much. And with this, I would like to conclude that I think Microsoft Fabric is a huge opportunity if you're a data analyst or even an engineer. And don't be scared of the analytics engineering role. I took the step myself, and I'm very happy with moving towards Fabric. It really widens your horizon. You learn a lot more. And it is a lot of fun because you feel that you will learn moving things further upstream and understanding the entire end-to-end analytics process instead of just being at the end of the data and analytics processing and having to do kind of measures, calculations, and so on in Power BI. You can do them now much further upstream. Any kind of transformations, you can do them even before, optimizing your performance and really getting new results that were previously not possible. Thank you very much, and please subscribe for more videos.